Good morning, everybody from the East Coast, West Coast, and around the world. We are coast to coast. I am the host today. And of course, somebody had to call right at that moment. So
I was like, oh man, did my signal drop out?
it's like right away. It's like nobody understands that at 9 o'clock in the morning, the world is, and the world is only you guys. It's only you. And obviously, Bo is on the road today. As you can see, he is calling us. He's en route to another one of these coaching situations. So he's going to be coaching up some little kids today on the possibility of, becoming a superstar in the NFL.
Well, so this one is actually baseball. So I'm going to be a guest coach for the Julio Rodriguez camp. So J-Rod will be there. And with the way the Mariners are playing, you may have a slot.
There you go. So no football for these kids. However, there was football for the world yesterday. They started it up. Here we are. Football is back, and the Hall of Fame game. Interestingly enough, an interesting game to say that, to be surprised. It was an actual football game, it seems.
Yeah, I'm so used to that game sucking. And so I went into it with really low expectations. But, I mean, the offenses came out. They moved the ball. If you're a defensive guy, you got to be a little disappointed. But yeah, it's otherwise, it was actually a really entertaining game to watch, which was a nice change for the Hall of Fame game.
Agreed. And I feel like that this had to do more with the coaches. I feel like that, especially in Arizona, that coach is going to try to figure out, like, he's going to be like, all right, let's set the tone here. Let's try to make it so that we can score points. And, if we score on our first couple of drives here, we could score all season long. There's a good thought process to that.
And you got to see what Carson Beck was. So, I mean, you got to see him, complete some passes, move around. Same with King on the other side. You got to see him scramble for the game-winning touchdown there at the end. I think what was probably the most entertaining part was LaFleur saying, I had to ask some of the other coaches where it is I'm supposed to stand when the defense is out there. That was pretty funny. So, just out there figuring it out, right?
You know what? You got to start somewhere. And ultimately, hey, McVay has got somebody who he runs along with them and pulls them out of the way and does all that other fun stuff. That he is the, I guess the extra set of legs for him just in case he goes a little too far out. He's got the connector to him. So he's like the dog leash. Yeah, get back here, pup. You know what I mean? But
is he still doing that? He does still have that. Okay.
I have to imagine he does.
So I know he did for the first few years, but I hadn't seen that guy. And maybe they just don't care anymore because it's been enough years. People are used to it. But yeah, I hadn't seen him over the last couple of seasons. So I was wondering if they got rid of him or if they were just like, yeah, we don't need to show him anymore.
I think it's, hey, listen, they showed him, they showed his thing, it's like, that's what happens with some of those guys that are on the sidelines. They get their moment in the sun and then they go back into obscurity. It's like Big Dom. Big
Yeah.
Dom had his moment in the sun. You know what I mean? He's had his thing. Hey, listen, he's still doing the exact same things he was always doing.
Yeah.
And he's a coach now, so it's Coach Dom, or Coach
Okay.
Big Dom.
What is he coaching?
He's the coach of player personnel.
Oh, okay.
He's so what that means. What is Big Dom in the grand scheme of things? He is really the babysitter, concierge type. Hey, listen, if you are in trouble, you call Big Dom. If you want something, you call Big Dom. If if something's got to go away, call Big Dom.
He's the fixer. I got you.
The fixer, the cleaner, the babysitter. Like he fits all of those categories all at once.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to imagine that every team has got somebody that is on that team that is, similar, very similar.
Yeah, of course, right? I mean, maybe they're not on the field like he is, but they got every building has that guy.
And if they don't, then what are they doing? Then really, what are they doing?
I mean, they're having players go to jail, I think, is what they're
doing. That's a possibility. I mean, because listen, these guys have learned that I've learned that these guys do not, don't always have the best their best thing in mind. And listen, Joe, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. I don't know what you're talking about. Right. You're in Italy, and you should know that, Joe.
That's right. It's like Fight Club. You don't talk about it.
But hey, listen, I know that if I needed something done, or if I needed to get out of a situation, and I had that favor, I could call Big Dom. I don't have that favor. I don't have that favor at moments. But anyways, so listen, I told everybody, and if you listened to me, you definitely understood that, hey, you should have bet the under. And, I'm going to see if I can even find it up here.
Hey, look at you helping Joe lose money.
Yeah. Joe didn't even, I tell you, it didn't need my help. It was bad yesterday. Anybody, I guess I can't find it.
I mean, they almost hit the over individually.
Yeah, exactly. And I would have never thought that. Usually those games are not like that.
Good.
But
we can call it what it is. They're usually not good. They're usually really sloppy, terrible football. Not to say that it was like great football in the way of like fundamentally sound, because the defenses obviously didn't show up. But it was at least good in the way of the quarterbacks were hitting their targets. They were actually pretty good at protecting the football. Just had that one turnover, or not even a turnover, but one fumble.
Was there only one fumble, or was there? I thought there were a lot more.
I only saw one, so I mean, if there was other ones, then I missed them.
Yeah, let me check that. I thought that there was a lot of the ball wound up on the ground a few times. There 3 times. There was only one fumble lost.
Oh, okay, there we go.
There were 3 fumbles all day. So there was there were a few times. Arizona.
Okay, so I hit my prediction there then.
Yeah,
that was lost.
Didn't lose it.
How many hit the turf? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, 3 fumbles all day in that regards. No interceptions.
Yep.
a couple of sacks. But I mean, if you looked at Carolina, Carolina actually played a pretty good game. The first couple of
Yeah.
drives were bad, but after that they started to get in motion. And I feel like that the Cardinals had to be super excited. They came right out and they let's throw the ball really far, and I haven't seen that since it was T.O.
Carson
came
Palmer.
to the Eagles. T.O. came to the Eagles, and on the very first play from scrimmage in the preseason, you had Donovan McNabb throw to T.O. for a touchdown.
Hmm.
That also was the very first play of the regular season. Throw to T.O. for a touchdown.
I mean, you got a pretty good chance if you're throwing to T.O., there's going to be a touchdown.
Well, that was the very first play of the season, though. Like, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
just got a kickoff, and we start at the 20, and the next thing you know, it's an 80-yard touchdown pass. That you don't get to see that very often.
I was pleasantly surprised with what we saw out of Beck, what we saw out of Pickett, and then ultimately King. You had pretty solid quarterback play overall. Like, the decision making was decent, and ball security again. Nobody threw a pick. I think there was only like one or two that were even batted. So I mean, that even had a chance to get picked. So I mean, overall, it was actually a entertaining game, and maybe some of that is it's been 179 days since we saw football, and we were prepared to be excited about watching a bad game. So for it to actually be good was a nice surprise.
Yeah, and it made me look at. Carson Beck, I thought actually played a halfway decent game. He threw a pretty good ball.
Yep.
And it makes me wonder, especially since this was the extra game for them, that is it possible that he can start the season?
If there was ever a blueprint for it, it's the Seahawks, right? When they drafted Russell Wilson, Matt Flynn was the guy. They just paid him a ton of money, and they liked what they saw out of Wilson. Flynn never took a snap. So it's definitely possible.
I think that Brissett is obviously somebody who, wishy-washy. It's wishy-washy. That whole situation was wishy-washy. I think that he probably didn't make many friends when he was like holding out for whatever it is. And now you've got, like I said, the first couple of plays of the game. You got Carson Beck showing his arm. So
yeah, I mean, the arm isn't his issue though. So Carson Beck, big dude, powerful arm, can make plays. Where he runs into issues is when the line breaks down. So when he's under pressure, that's where he starts making bad decisions. And let's be honest, the defenses weren't a huge factor in this game. So we still don't really know if that part of his game has evolved. But during his college career, that's always been the big issue is when he's under duress, that's where he starts putting the ball on the wrong team's hands. So we didn't really see enough of a consistent pass rush to know if that's going to be an issue moving forward. But at least they got the extra game, right? Because they're going to get a few more of these, and he's probably starting all of them.
Probably. But I'm sure Brissett's probably going to start one. That being said, I realized, or like I was watching them as I was watching the game, they showed that Seumalo, Isaac Seumalo, is now playing for the Cardinals. And I will tell you that I am so glad he's no longer on the Eagles. However, when you look at what the Cardinals have done in terms of they have Love now as their running back, and Sayamalu is not your greatest pass blocker, but he is a very good run blocker. That's really his strength. And if you are going to protect your quarterbacks, that's where you're going to want to use Love a lot, I would assume. You're going to probably, you want your quarterback going back.
They're probably going to run like 12 personnel, too. They're probably going to do a lot of dual tight end sets because they have one that's a good receiving tight end, one that's a decent blocker. And since that line is still sort of suspect, it does make me think that they'll probably run a lot of 12 personnel, get that extra blocker, and then, have Love in that dual role where he's, obviously the running back, but he'll get some of those chip blocks where he leaks out and catches some small passes in the flat or, slot areas.
Yeah, I tell you, I definitely don't want him blocking very much. I want to be able to preserve him as much as possible. So doing those little chip blocks and such, I feel that defensive linemen now are getting bigger and faster, like in terms of the tackles. Like it's not just defensive ends. So where you have to do on a defensive end, typically they are a little bit lighter. So you're not getting blown up. Like you don't want your running back blown up a lot. And I feel like that's where he's at. I would want to protect him as much as possible from having to do any of those chip blocks against.
Yeah. I mean, your running back is generally going to get the end anyway, but they don't usually feed him to a tackle.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to pick him up, but it's really whoever's coming in and however they stint. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the tackles now, with the speed of the tackles, they're going to stint, and they have inside stints that are going to be able to, somebody come unopposed. Speaking of unopposed, there was the one, I guess right before I was sitting there and I'm watching the game and I'm like, okay, I told everybody to take the under. Already we are at 34 points. You know what I mean? It's 31 points. And in the first half, one of the guys goes out on a route and everybody forgets to cover him.
Yes.
And wide open, guys wide open. And the quarterback, I guess, was never used to seeing anybody that wide open ever. Wound up just overthrowing that. I was like, wow. That's something that you're going to hear about all week long.
No question. Yeah, all he had to do was put a little air under it, nice soft throw, and he just had way too much on it. It's too bad. It was a walk-in touchdown.
Exactly. I mean, I'm like, the breakdown on the defense was horrible. Like nobody, it was like, hey, we're going to pay attention to anything else other than this guy. That guy put on his invisible juice.
They had the Dallas secondary there for a second.
And luckily they didn't need him, I guess, because who knew the quarterback couldn't throw?
Yes.
So, but
there was a big hit, though. You had Carson Beck throwing a hospital ball out there. The one he had some nice touch on it. Receiver grabs it, and it gave the time for the Panther safety to come across and just absolutely light him up. He popped right up, so no injuries, nothing like that. No flags on the play, but to absolutely get just crushed immediately, it's like, okay, I like where this season is starting out.
Yeah, exactly. That was the good thing. The fact that he did get right up right away, because that was early in the game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I think the second play of the game, really.
Yeah, it was right away. Yeah. I think it was on that first scoring drive for Arizona.
And popped right up, and I'm like, all right, that's good. These guys are hitting. And really, you're real happy to see that there wasn't a lot of injuries at all. There wasn't really any injuries.
Or flags. There wasn't a ton of flags. I like that we didn't see, because usually preseason is their point of emphasis things, right? So it's like, okay, we're going to really overcall this because we want to drive the point home. You can't do this new rule or this tweak on a rule or whatever, right? And we didn't see any of that yesterday. Like there was normal penalties like false starts and encroachment, whatever, right? But there wasn't like a weird, hey, putting an emphasis on this particular thing. So it's nice to see that wasn't part of the game too.
Agreed. Like I said, there was a good flow to the game in general. So it was like, all right, let's see how. Who knows? Maybe the refs are going to do their job this year and not make every ticky tack call.
That would be
phenomenal. I mean, I feel like that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, this was probably the only game that it didn't matter who wins or loses, that there really isn't any purpose in terms of hey, you just call it like you would the Super Bowl. Let's all put the whistles away.
Yes.
But
well, and I mean, I also like the fact that they didn't play for the tie. Like, there's no reason to, but you've seen it in preseason before, where a coach is like, "Yeah, we're just going to take the tie and call it good." And so I like that Carolina was like, "No, you know what? 2 seconds left. We either win or we lose right here." So I was a fan of that. I never liked. Well, I hate ties, right? So when they allow them to happen, it makes me mad.
Well, no, and I get that. It's there's never a need for it, but I mean, I guess it's supposed to make you feel better in preseason if you wind up not losing. I mean, hey, you look at the Ravens; they were undefeated in preseason for 7 years. Yeah, like Harbaugh just didn't lose in the preseason, and then he only really did win one Super Bowl, so can't really.
He was in the playoffs every year, though.
Yeah, but it didn't matter. Those preseason games didn't come into any, didn't come into play at all.
You can't win the Super Bowl in August. That is for sure.
Absolutely. I don't think that there's any scenario that creates it that you can win it in August.
Can't even make the playoffs, because the games don't matter.
But you know what? It was just nice to see it on television.
Yes.
And all the people that are there at the Hall of Fame, obviously they got a whole bunch of people that are going in. I feel like that the one that they were showing the most, though, has been Vinatieri. I keep seeing Vinatieri, and I'm like, like they could have. I feel like that they probably spent some time on Fitzgerald, but they didn't do it until the second half, and I didn't watch the second half.
Yeah, I mean, they spent a lot of time on Vinatieri, and I think it's because he's the one guy that's not part of a broadcast team. Everybody else, they're like, we're gonna talk to you all the time.
True. I mean, I don't know. I guess they don't want him on a broadcast team, but now he's a Hall of Fame kicker. I'm surprised. When I saw this thing, I'm surprised Morton Anderson's still alive. That guy's got to be about 120 years old.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Probably could still go out and kick for any one of these teams, though.
Certainly for a few of them.
I mean, I know that we're talking about how what's going on with the Eagles kicker, and if he is going to be able to. He went into last season as the highest rated kicker of all time. Came out of last season not.
I mean, we've watched that a few times though, because like Tucker held that for a long time, and then had his bizarre year and fell apart. Koo last year also was one of the most accurate kickers, and I love it when people are in the left lane doing 20 under.
I feel your pain. I know exactly how frustrating that could be. I will tell you that when I have somebody in the car with me and there's somebody who is decidingly trying to drive under the speed limit in the fast lane, it makes me wish they still made jacks. You remember jacks? Like they don't make them anymore because there's too many people that wound up with them in their foot or whatever. But I got to imagine they also wound up on highways where they wound up in cars, tires, and such. There's a whole mess of reasons on why jacks are no longer a thing.
So motorcycle riders used to carry them because people would do dangerous stuff around them and they just drop them. Because then they'd bounce up and wipe out tires, wipe out windshields. So you're not wrong. And I mean, let's be honest. What kid today is playing jacks or anything physical at all?
That's actually a true statement.
Unless jacks was a side quest on Roblox, I don't think they're doing it.
Exactly. But anyways, I don't remember. I said I don't remember playing jacks. I just remember having them. And I also remember, leaving them out and having somebody step on them and them not be very happy about it. That was more of the fun. Them and Legos stepping on.
I was gonna say Legos are the new version of jacks if you're walking barefoot.
Little plastic pieces that with sharp edges always are fun. 100%. But anyways, so that was the very first football game. Football is back. We are going to start seeing a lot more games. I feel like that next Thursday, they've got a slate of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. So very exciting stuff. We'll get to see what these teams look like. You can make bets if you'd like to. I would definitely say, the under is going to hit on most of these games, but I wouldn't listen to me if I was betting.
Well, I mean, if the game yesterday was any indicator, then yes.
Well, it's funny. Last year, if the preseason was indicative of the season in total, I feel like last year defense was like there wasn't a lot of scoring in a lot of the preseason games, and defense kind of held the line all season long. The defenses were better than offenses
for the most part. Yeah, there were definitely some high scoring games, but
do you think that that's going to remain the same this year? Do you think that offenses are going to be able to turn the tide some and be better than they were last year? I know certain teams are are scoring machines and other teams are not. But I think for the most part, defense won the battles last year.
Certainly through the playoffs, right? I mean, all of your playoff teams were defense teams. And a lot of those teams added more defense. So, I think the teams that will be interesting to watch when it comes to that is, will the scoring stay at the same rate for teams like Dallas and the Bengals now that they've added some defense? I think some of those high scores were because the other team scored so fast, their offense was just out there a lot.
Well, I mean, I guess yes, you could kind of say it like that. I mean, taking the Bengals out of the equation and take also the Cowboys out of the equation because those two
Sure.
teams would have games that would be 38 to 33 or 38 to 35. You know what I mean? Where there was just, I mean, I think what was it? The Bengals lost to the
But the
Jets
Bengals had one
42
that
to
was like
41.
exactly. I was gonna say there was, that 80-point game from the Bengals. So yeah, I mean, but again, those teams were the bottom two teams in the league for defense. So some of that makes sense.
Right. And I feel like that's part of the pendulum. You know what I mean? That you have certain teams. I mean, look at Chicago even. So
Mm-hmm.
Chicago was the uh, very similar to the Bengals, except the fact that they won games in
Yeah.
comparison to losing games. But all the games that the Bengals lost, the Bears won.
Yep.
So it's interesting, and I'm interested to see if the Bears can hold up, can return to their form from last year. I feel like that there was a certain level of energy that came from the coach that created that feeling of winning.
Yeah.
Is it, you know, how easy is that or difficult really is it to bring that from season to season and have that carry over via seasons?
I mean, that's where momentum's not a real thing, right? Because I mean, you have so many things that change year to year, player personnel, coaches, like all of those things. So you can't really carry, from one season to the next so much. You can carry some of it, right? But it's not like week to week kind of energy. Um, that being said, it's easy to continue following a coach that shows you can win, right? So it'll be if they rattle off a bunch of losses, does the locker room still appreciate the fact that he is that, kind of rougher coach? I can say the same thing here in Seattle, right? You have McDonald as that defensive, kind of not as free player friendly as like Pete Carroll, which, you know, being coached hard and you're winning, cool. But if you're being coached hard and you're not, how many players are like, I'm a grown man, you can't talk to me that way, right? Because that is part of the thing too.
Well, especially with the kids nowadays. But I mean, can't argue with what they did because they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that argument goes out the window in that regards because hey, if it doesn't matter whether you like me or not, whether you respect me or not, I get the results done and I win a Super Bowl, and that's ultimately you're happy about that because that they never do take that ring away from you ever. That ring is
No,
always yours.
and that's why I said, it works when you win or you show you can win. Because I mean, the Bears won enough that you can be happy with where they were. Um, it's if you start losing, do your players continue to follow you the same way? That'll be the question. Because I mean, if they come out and they keep rattling off wins, everybody's going to be on board, right? I mean, the same thing with Bill Belichick, right? Not exactly the most player-friendly coach ever, but they were winning. So people are like, yeah, I don't know, I'll drink the Kool-Aid.
Well, and that's the one thing that I could kind of say about the Bears coach is that everywhere he has gone as a coordinator and now as a head coach up to this point, he has won.
Yes.
So at what point do you start to, like, all right, well, is it because of how well he deals with the adversity? He's just got his team that well. He has the talent around them. I mean, this is the same Bears team that stunk the year before, and now all of a sudden wound up going, you know, deep in the playoffs,
I
and
mean, you're also looking at a guy that's coming from, a winning situation, taking over for an Eberflus that couldn't seem to figure anything out. So you should look noticeably better than that previous coach either way.
Right, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, because truth of the matter is that there are coaches that, hey, if that was the case, you would think somebody would do well in Cleveland. That eventually somebody would actually be a good coach.
I agree. Like, I think there have been good coaches. So, like, it's one thing to take over for a bad coach. It's another thing to go into a dysfunctional franchise. I don't think the Bears are dysfunctional.
Comparatively, I guess. I mean, it's like they did go through, a few years where they didn't have their quarterback, and they're trying to figure out like what's next and how to go about it. And ultimately, they gave this coach a lot of money to get him away from Detroit because other teams tried. In fact, they tried, and he didn't want to leave. He stayed in Detroit.
Yeah.
So it's
he wanted one more crack at it.
Now he's going to get as many cracks as he can while he's there with this team, and it's out. Could you say it's the energy that's doing it? That it's, hey, they're just following, just they signing off to the plan that he's got. I don't know. I mean, I laugh at the fact that people talk about Nick Sirianni all the time. About how bad of a coach he is, and that he's just a player's coach and whatever. But for whatever reason, these players will go through walls for him. They will bite. They will take a bullet for him.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for that alone. Okay. You got, hey, if he's going to be the guy that we want to, follow into battle, then that's what's going to be. We understand he can't choose coaches, that's got to happen above his pay grade. But ultimately, he's able to put the battle plan in place, and ultimately can't argue with the fact that ever since he's gotten in the league, every time he's had the opportunity, he's gone to the playoffs. He's been to 2 Super Bowls over the last few years. There's only been one other coach that's been to more Super Bowls than him. So can't argue with those types of numbers. But it is what I've done for me lately.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Welcome to the NFL.
Either way, football is back, and I am very happy about it.
Yep. Speaking of football being back, you do have a YouTube turned boxer, annoying person that thinks he could start for every team in the slot position. And that's Jake Paul. So
I was going to say, it's not yet. We can't say that Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs has got a home now.
He does have a home. So maybe he will be the best number 2 behind Scary Terry. But Jake Paul thinks that he could beat out any of the players to become a slot receiver for an NFL franchise, having never played football.
Again, I can only hope that we get the opportunity to witness it. It's going to be hard for he's not going to wind up in anybody's camp. I don't. It's that won't happen. So
I mean, I say that, and then at the same time, I think of some of these franchises that might do it just for the publicity bump. Be like, yeah, we'll give you a workout. Especially if they end up with a tight end that goes down and they're like, we got an extra spot on the 90-man roster.
I mean, he mentioned the Browns by name.
Sure. And that's a franchise you could see doing it.
Right. That, hey, listen, let's bring you in because ultimately you are going to take away from some of the drama that we have as from our quarterbacks. But I don't know. Is this a way for him to be able to just try? Like, is this content creation? Is that what this is?
Oh, absolutely. There's no chance he's actually making a roster. Now, will someone give him a shot just because? Probably, right? Because they want those eyeballs. If he shows up on someone's squad, he is likely to bring a whole bunch of new viewers to whatever team he lands on. He won't make it. If they let him go through training camp, which again they can absolutely do. I don't know that it happens this year. They're probably like, hey, if you actually want to do this, go do some stuff. The Jets absolutely would be one of those teams that might take a flyer on it for next season. But any one of these teams would be like, look, you got to go train with somebody, right? You got to take it as seriously as you're taking boxing and go train with some guys, then come back next year and we'll give you a shot, especially since they don't have to cut down from the 90-man roster until I think it's 3 days before the first game. So, right. I mean, if you got a team that's, you kind of know what you have going on, you could burn up a roster spot on a publicity stunt.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, is that what you want to start to do? And does that create? I mean, not for nothing. I mean, the Paul brothers have been able to do certain things that nobody else has been able to do up to this point. They have created opportunities through content creation, and we're gonna box people. We're gonna, he got his jaw broken by an ex-heavyweight champion. So learned the hard way. I'd love to see him get lit up by. Hey, imagine if he was the one catching that ball, for Arizona in that second play of the game. And
I would have loved that.
Getting hit like that. Had he got up in the same exact way at the end of that, then all of a sudden you're like, wow, maybe this guy's a for real situation. I am not. I'm not sure that that's the case. There's a lot of guys that are trying to get into the NFL, and I don't know that you can content create your way into the NFL.
Probably not. But if there was a guy to do it, because that's how they built their whole careers. I mean, he ends up boxing. His brother ends up in WWE. I mean, they were both YouTube guys, right? So, I mean, content creation is how they've gotten these opportunities. Now, if you can make it, that's a different question. But they can probably force their way into an opportunity.
Well, and what is he's 29 years old, right?
Oh, it would strictly be content creation for the team as well, right?
I hear you. I mean, I wonder if it, like I said, it's at what point do you really think, okay, I guess you can give him an invitation. Is that what he's trying to get right now? He's just trying to get that invitation. So he's trying to hear like, hey, yeah, this is what I've got going on right now. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We will see how this all plays out.
I think I think that's exactly what he does. Is he's just trying for the invite, right? You don't got to make it. You just got to be able to be there with the team and practice and do all those things. If you end up making it, then cool, I guess. But I look at it as, did you really think Tebow was going to have a chance to make that team? No, he'd been out of the league so long, but it was a good publicity stunt. It worked out for Urban Meyer, got a lot of buzz around the team, all of those things. Uh, Ultimately, he wasn't good, right? And I think that's going to be the case with, Jake Paul. Is I just don't think he would be good. Is he physically big enough or anything like that to play? Yeah, of course. Is he in good enough shape to play? Probably. Do I think he's going to be able to have the skill set not ever really playing football? No, right? Because you're talking about him competing against the 1% of the 1%.
Right. And although I can imagine that he's got the type of place that would have hey, have the machine to throw footballs at you. And that's ultimately you got to be catching those footballs, and you got to be catching them and consistently if you want to be a. Now, if he was going to talk about being a corner, I guess he can't. The hard part about being a corner is there's really only one.
No, he was
corner, so
he was realistic with his where he thought he could play. So he basically said he would be a slot receiver, right? Like that's where he would line up, which would be interchangeable with maybe a tight end or something. And like if he was going to have that type of thing, that would be his most likely way to make the team, because the rest of them require a lot more athleticism. Whether you're a corner or an outside receiver, stuff like that, he'd have to have a lot more athleticism than being a slot receiver or a tight end. Not to diminish those positions. You're just asked to do fewer things in open space.
Yeah, there's no chance that Jake Paul would make it on the Eagles. There's just no chance. And that's not something that Howie would do.
Well, there's no chance that he would make it on a good team no matter what. Like if he were to make a squad to even get the invite, it's going to be the Jets. It'll be the Browns. It'll be Arizona wouldn't do it, but
the Raiders maybe.
Raiders maybe, again, for buzz. It's going to be those types of teams that are on the lower end of things. And I hope it doesn't happen, but I would not rule it out.
And I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you could also probably maybe put the Ravens in that mix now. Pittsburgh in that mix. I feel
Pittsburgh,
like that those teams right there in the AFC, I guess it's the North. That's the division I see him in. I mean, I know that
I could see the Dolphins doing something crazy because that team is just terrible now.
How about the Chargers?
Nah, they're too good of a
team. Yeah, I tell you, I feel like that they are not that good of a team, and I feel like that
they're far too complete to bring in a distraction that would be him, right? Because I mean, ultimately, you have to concede the fact that with that publicity also comes an amazing amount of distraction. And if you believe as a franchise that you have a shot to do something in the playoffs, you're not bringing in that kind of noise because it just disrupts the team, right? And there's no way that the Chargers organization doesn't think they have a shot, even if the rest of us think they find a way to lose when it comes playoff time. They believe they have a shot, so they're not going to bring in that kind of distraction. If they did, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah, and Spence, you don't ever have to worry about me becoming an offensive coordinator for anybody. I can't even figure out how to be an offensive coordinator on Madden, against like the easy team, like where it's not all pro. Like I can't. I'm just not that guy. I am better at cheering others on.
Hey, that's the know your skill set, right?
That's exactly correct. Like I could play flag, and if I was playing flag, I would play defense. So, you know, if you wanted me to play offense, I could play offense. I just am better at playing defense. I've learned that. I've learned that the hard way. I'm not used to running
that face
anymore.
plant, that face plant was good, man. What are you talking about?
I well, that was a long time ago. It was well, not very long ago. But I'm going to be ready this year. I'm going to be a lot more ready this year. I'm training for my scholarship, getting some running in so that I don't get winded as in the first 3 minutes of playing. Because that was the hardest part about that is like when I'm trying to juke and bob and weave to try to as when you have the ball, not good. It's easier when somebody else has the ball and you don't have to move. Because when you're slow and they're trying to juke you, it doesn't matter because you're not moving.
You can't react. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's how I keep it going with those little kids. But I will be ready this year at the Super Bowl this year. I will be more in shape than I was last year, and I will have more opportunities. People will have lots of opportunities to score on me in flag football. We'll see. We'll see how that works out.
I mean, it looked like it was fun.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, all the way up until I went face first into the pavement. I am going to be playing on the veterans. They have the veterans flag football. So I said that I would be ready for it this year. So I'm going to start. I said doing my running and trying to get the cardio up because really that's all it is. Everything else, like you're not going to make my hands better. I'm not going to catch the ball better. I'm not going to do anything else better except be able to run longer. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get faster. I'm not going to do any of that. It's, it's
like
watching.
Cardio is key, right? You don't want to be gassed after the first play.
Exactly. It's like watching the movie Rocky Balboa. He's like, speed, you ain't got it.
Yep.
So, but anyways, so you're going today. You're going to be teaching kids about baseball. Listen, we all know Bo is the football player. What position did you even play in baseball?
Center field, right? Because I was quick and I had a strong arm. So, yeah, that's actually my biggest concern coming into today, right? Is I'm still like working through this torn bicep. Can I throw a baseball? That's going to be the real question today. I'm not going to be able to throw it like I used to be able to, for sure. But can I effectively play, do it through drills and stuff? I feel like I can. It's the only reason I agreed to do this. But I went from, somebody that could hit home plate from the warning track. I could throw a football 60 yards. I was struggling to throw a football, 3 weeks ago, more than 20 yards. So I'll be interested to see how this works out. I agreed to this probably more out of morbid curiosity than anything else. Can I throw the ball? Will this destroy my arm? I don't know.
Well, and truth of the matter is that like I feel like half of it is first tracking the ball. That's the bigger deal. Yeah. You could be, if you fast, you could be whatever, but if you don't know how to track a ball, that's it. It all starts with that.
Sure.
And then the basic step. Yeah.
It's that first step, it's kind of knowing where you are. And again, I haven't been to one of these camps, so I'm not exactly sure how it's laid out. So I'm walking into a little bit blind, but if you are doing like fielding drills and stuff like that, Absolutely. Your first step is one of the biggest things, right? A lot of people make that mistake of stepping forward instinctively. And if that ball's got any carry, you're already momentum wise going the wrong direction. You're probably going to miss that ball. So,
Right.
if you are somebody that has a tendency to step forward, you need to play a little bit deeper to accommodate that. Um, if you are good at staying where you're supposed to be, so you can really see where that track, that pop tracks, then you can kind of play a little bit wider range. But yeah, I mean, if you're somebody that tends to lean forward in your stance and is going to take that first step forward, yeah, you got to play deeper so that you don't end up with a lot of them going over your head.
Yeah, I will say that back a long, long time ago, when I was in the Navy, I they had a tryout in Norfolk. While I was stationed down in Virginia Beach, that I went and did, and I made it to the second day of tryouts. However, the tryouts were very interesting. There were so many people going out there, and I could play third base at the time. This is a whole different world for me. And then also I could play outfield. I was better at the outfield, and I did have a decent arm. So at 19 years old, I did go try out for the Mets and the Marlins. They had a
Nice.
dual tryout, and I made it through to the second day. The second day, so tracking the ball, catching the ball, throwing it home. That's what it was. It was like those got to catch all five, throw all five. You make it to the second day. It was almost second day was running 90 feet,
Yeah.
and they said, hey, listen,
Thanks, but no
guy,
thanks.
you're in the Navy, and that's where you belong.
Yeah.
So
And Spence, you could definitely leave that Bonds action out of it because he didn't have an out pitch, and I absolutely did. If you threw me a slider for whatever reason, that thing looks like a meatball coming all the way, and I'm committed, and then that thing starts falling away, and I'm like, no. So yeah, it's the slider was the one I just couldn't lay off that pitch. Also, I started having trouble tracking. About 85 miles an hour, 80 to 85. I had trouble tracking the ball from that point, and so baseball was never going to be my deal.
there you go. So, but
And that's
if
that's
you're
even out
gonna,
of the machine. Even out of a machine, like you don't have any finesse to it from the pitcher, and it was tough for me to track the speed. Like that was, I don't know, always a thing for me.
well, I know I can't catch up to a 35 mile per hour slow pitch. So that
I mean, I
hitting was
wouldn't be able
never.
to today.
That's that's why they said they're not going to show me how to hit the ball. I'm not going to be showing anybody how to hit the ball. But well, listen, you have some fun today. In the meantime, man, listen, we got the weekend here. Everybody get to enjoy their weekend. I know it's going to be hot around here. Hopefully, it's not as hot over there.
It's gonna be hot, and
Yeah,
it's actually hot and smoky because we have so many wildfires in eastern Washington. We have this huge haze that's covering the Seattle area right now, which makes our sunrises and sunsets beautiful. But we have over 100,000 acres in eastern Washington on fire. So, and one of them was started by arson, which is even worse. But so yeah, we got it's going to be hot and air quality is going to be terrible.
got you. Well, everybody. Well, then stay safe out there. Obviously, you don't want all these kids banging. Hey, listen, and get a good interview with J Rod. If he's going to be there, might as
Yeah.
well.
So that's the only downside to these is I don't get to do any of that because I'm not here in the media capacity. So they don't let me do two things because they're actually paying me to be a coach. And so they're like, look, we're paying you to be a coach, so you don't get to do the media stuff. It's like, fair enough.
Oh well. All right. Anyways, try to
Yep.
be like, hey, take a picture, do whatever, get your stamp on this. But anyways, to everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you're following us, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, guys. And
Smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz. There we go. Let's get this ready. Second one, right? Bang.